There is a universal truth that touches every life: failure is inevitable. No matter how carefully we plan, how passionately we dream, or how hard we try, setbacks come to test us. Yet what separates those who rise to greatness from those who remain defeated is not luck, talent, or timing, it is persistence. How Persistence Turns Failure into Triumph is a book that explores this timeless principle, guiding us through the hidden strength that lies within enduring effort and unwavering determination. The book begins by reminding us that failure is not the opposite of success, but part of the journey toward it. Every person who has achieved something remarkable has first endured struggle, rejection, and disappointment. Think of Thomas Edison, who tested thousands of materials before discovering the right filament for the light bulb. His story is not one of effortless genius but of persistent effort. Each failed attempt was not a defeat but a step closer to discovery. The book challenges us to shift our mindset in the same way, seeing every obstacle not as a wall but as a teacher, revealing lessons that guide us forward. One of the most powerful insights the book offers is that persistence is not simply stubbornness. It is not about blindly pushing against the same door that will never open. Persistence is about resilience, creativity, and adaptability. It is about refusing to quit while also learning, adjusting, and finding new ways to move forward. For example, an entrepreneur may fail in their first business, not because they lacked ability, but because the timing or strategy was off. The persistent individual reflects, learns, and adapts, eventually discovering the formula that works. The failures of yesterday become the wisdom of tomorrow. The book also explores the emotional weight of persistence. Staying committed when everything feels hopeless requires more than discipline. It requires heart. The author speaks of the silent battles that many face, the loneliness of walking a path others do not understand, the discouragement of hearing no more than yes, the self-doubt that whispers, maybe this is not for you. And yet, persistence is the act of silencing those voices with steady action. It is the courage to wake up one more day, to try one more time, to believe one more time, even when success feels distant. In this sense, persistence is not only an outer effort but an inner transformation. It builds character, endurance, and faith in oneself. The book uses powerful stories to illustrate this. One example is that of J.K. Rowling, who faced repeated rejection before her Harry Potter manuscript was finally accepted. Another is Walt Disney, who was told he lacked imagination before creating one of the most imaginative empires in the world. These stories remind us that failure does not define us. What defines us is what we do after failure. Do we stop? Or do we press on, armed with the wisdom failure gave us? Another layer of the book's wisdom is the reminder that persistence requires vision. To endure setbacks, one must hold on to a clear picture of why they are walking this path. Without a compelling why, persistence can wither. The book encourages readers to dig deep into their motivations, whether it is love for family, the desire to make a difference, or the dream of living with purpose. This vision becomes the fuel when energy runs low, the compass when direction is unclear, and the anchor when storms threaten to pull us away. The book does not shy away from acknowledging the pain of persistence. It is not romanticized as something easy. There are nights of tears, moments of despair, seasons of doubt. But these very struggles, the author insists, are what make triumph meaningful. Success without effort often feels empty. But success born of persistence is deeply fulfilling because it carries the weight of every battle fought, every lesson learned, and every moment of resilience. The transformation persistence creates is not only external but also internal. When we keep going despite challenges, we discover strength we never knew we had. We learn patience, discipline, and humility. We develop empathy, because we understand struggle more intimately. And we grow a quiet confidence, not the arrogance of instant success, but the unshakable faith of someone who has walked through fire and emerged stronger. The book highlights how persistence is not limited to careers or grand ambitions. It is woven into everyday life. A parent who wakes up early each day to provide for their children, despite exhaustion, is a portrait of persistence. A student who studies late into the night, determined to rise beyond their circumstances, is an example of persistence. Someone battling illness who refuses to give up on life is practicing persistence in its purest form. Triumph is not always about wealth or fame, it is often about overcoming personal struggles and reaching a place of inner victory. The author also emphasizes the importance of support along the journey. Persistence is fueled by belief, and sometimes when our own belief falters, the encouragement of others can reignite it. Surrounding ourselves with mentors, friends, and communities who understand and uplift us makes persistence more sustainable. Even so, the deepest persistence comes from within, from the quiet decision to keep moving forward regardless of who is watching. As the book unfolds, it reveals that persistence transforms not only failure into triumph but also fear into courage, doubt into faith, and weakness into strength. Each failure becomes less frightening when we understand it is a stepping stone. Each delay becomes less discouraging when we trust the process. Triumph is no longer a distant dream but a natural outcome of continual effort. The conclusion of the book is both comforting and empowering. It reminds us that persistence is not about never falling, it is about always rising. It is about showing up again and again, until the breakthrough comes. And when it does, the triumph is far sweeter, because it is built not on ease, but on endurance. Ultimately, how persistence turns failure into triumph is not just a book about success, it is a book about the human spirit. It calls us to embrace the struggles of life not as enemies but as companions on the journey. It teaches us that the measure of our greatness is not how many times we avoid failure but how many times we rise above it. And it leaves us with this timeless truth: if we keep moving forward with faith, patience, and determination, failure will one day bow to triumph, and persistence will have written the story of our victory.